What is up, Oklahoma Sooners fans, college football fans? Welcome into Oklahoma at the voice of college football. This is Sooner Spotlight. That's right. For those of you who don't know, we do this live show here Tuesdays, Thursdays, whenever I'm hosting. We offer content Sundays, Mondays with the Sooner Smiths, Chad and Tierney Smith, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and even post-game Saturdays. So when football season is full swing, we are offering live shows 5 times a week. So make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Josh Mahler. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Real Josh Mahler. I mean, I don't even know if we're still calling it Twitter anymore, or maybe we're just always going to call it Twitter. I don't know. But regardless, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to help support the channel a little bit further, become a member today. You can either scan that QR code over on the bottom right-hand side of the screen or click the link down in the description below. Become a member today for as low as $2.99 per month. It just helps us keep on doing the great things that we're trying to do here at Oklahoma at the voice of college football. Also, jump in the live chat tonight. All super chats will be read live on the show. And then we are going to try our call-in feature tonight. Haven't done it in a little while, so hopefully I am not screwing anything up. You can click the link down in the description below or just call the phone number down there. And you know what? I'll look that up real quick. It's 405-353-4535. It's a bye week. It's a slow week, so I figured why not open that up. But haven't done it in a little while, so we're going to try it. Make sure that hopefully everything goes through smooth. So apologies if that ends up not working out the way that it ought to. But anyways, that call-in feature should be open. So go ahead and call in. If I see anybody jump in that queue, we will get you added into the show tonight. It's a bye week, so not a ton to talk about for the Oklahoma Sooners. But Oklahoma is ranked in the college football playoff rankings, the inaugural initial college football playoff rankings. They're ranked in the top 12, which is a good sign for the Oklahoma Sooners. I think being ranked in the top 15 means you really have a shot. This season, it feels like if you're outside of the top 15, I don't know if you have a shot at all. It's going to be a very tough year because I think there's many teams that have a chance, and we can take a look at all of that. And I had that pulled up earlier. I'm going to get that pulled up once again because for some reason I don't have that pulled up right now. College football playoff. There we go. All right. So anyways, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you're new to the channel, welcome in. Welcome in. We're very happy to have you. If you're watching anywhere other than YouTube, jump over to YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a member. Again, that's all that stuff is just to help support the channel just a little bit further. But it's a bye week for Oklahoma. A big week last week really gives some confidence back in this team and helps this team moving forward, because without that win in Knoxville, Oklahoma is really sitting in a spot where they have no chance to make the playoffs, or very small chance to make the playoffs. And like I mentioned a moment ago, a very tough year to make the playoffs, because this is a season now where you've got so many teams that have a chance. And as we get closer to time, a lot of those teams are then going to fall out. So, you know, it's very tough currently right now for the Oklahoma Sooners. Make sure I'm looking at the right line. They've got a 33% chance to make the college football playoffs. Their current situation, where they're at right now, that's factoring in a lot of different things. And the reason why they're sitting there at about 33%, that's an approximate number. It changes 33 to 35%. That's kind of what I've seen across the board. But they kind of sit there at that mark because if they were to go into Tuscaloosa, win that game, then I mean their chances will go up. And then, of course, when they face off against Missouri and beat Missouri, their chances would go up again. It's going to fluctuate a lot. And so each week we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how close they are to the playoffs. But right now, being ranked number 12, that's exactly what Oklahoma wants in this scenario. Because you're in the top 12, there are going to be 12 teams playing, but it's not just the top 12 teams playing. You've got to account in also the fact that they're not going to have a load of SEC teams, although I will talk about that a little bit tonight. I think that there's a weird possibility. Now, I don't like it. I don't really like the fact that there's 12 teams, but there is a weird possibility that the SEC ends up sending 5 teams to the playoffs this year just because the SEC has really been deep. You think about where the SEC has been this season and how competitive it has been. It's really been kind of eating itself up in many ways. And so very interesting to look at that, to kind of see, exactly where you think of where this conference has been this season. And it really has just been kind of a who's who. I mean, you've had teams like Auburn who, yeah, maybe Auburn's not a good team this year. I mean, obviously they're not. They haven't won anything, but then they're able to hang close with teams like Georgia. So, that's something that you look at and you think, man, like how is such a low team such as Auburn able to hang in there with Georgia? Again, it's just because this is a tough conference. This is a deep conference. Now, you really look at the teams that actually have a chance. You think of A&M right now sitting at a very good chance, right now at an 80% chance to make it to the college football playoffs, just sticking within the SEC. Then you've also got Alabama at a 75% chance there. You got Georgia in the SEC also 83% chance, which is weird because they're sitting at 7-1. Alabama's sitting at 7-1 with a win over Georgia, lesser chance. But again, it's because of all these calculated what ifs down the road. For Alabama, they have to play Oklahoma and Auburn. I know for sure Auburn being the last game, that Iron Bowl. I mean, that's just one of those games that's going to drop your likelihood of making the college football playoffs for Alabama because of the atmosphere in that game, right? So again, a lot of things go into these calculations. More SEC teams. Ole Miss sitting at a 75% chance to make it to the college football playoffs. And then let's see, we've also got Vanderbilt sitting right now at a 31% chance to make the college football playoffs, sitting right around where I would say right around where Oklahoma and Texas sit. So Oklahoma is sitting there at 33% chance and Texas at a 32% chance currently. Now, that's pretty much all the SEC teams that really have a true chance to make it to the college football playoffs. Now, within those teams, really any of those teams I just named off with Oklahoma, Texas, I'll even throw in Missouri in there right now because that's another team that if they win out, they have pretty much a lock to make it to the college football playoffs. So Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri is going to be thrown in there. I don't think they're going to win out, but if they were, then they would make it to the college football playoffs. And then you've also got Vanderbilt would most likely make it, although they're sitting at a lower chance right now, 85% chance. If Vanderbilt were to win out and go 10-2, they would have an 85% chance, whereas those other 3 teams, Oklahoma, Texas, and Missouri, I just mentioned, they would have a 99% chance or greater than 99% chance, probably like 99.1%, 99.9% chance to make it in. So 10-2, it's going to make it in for really any of these teams other than Vanderbilt for some reason sitting at an 85% chance. It's really going to come down to the committee. If the committee sees an SEC team sitting there at 10-2, I think they make it in. Now, here's the caveat. If I can say that name, that word properly. Here's the caveat. There are 7 teams in the SEC, and I think I just mentioned all of them, that have a chance at going 10-2. So you've got Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri. Let's see who else is in there. Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, A&M. Is that right? Is there really 8 teams? Okay, no. So there's only 7 of those teams, and I don't have them in front of me right now. But I was seeing the scenario laid out by somebody, and I wish I could give them credit. But this is something kind of popping off the top of my head now. That there's a scenario that plays out where there's 7 teams in the SEC that win 10 games. Now there's not going to be 7 teams in the SEC that make it to the college football playoffs. So then that kind of leaves it open now to where which of those 7 teams are going to make it. Going back up the list. So we talked about Oklahoma, Texas. They have a 99% chance to win, 99% chance to make it to the college football playoffs if they win out. And then you go up to Ole Miss, 99%. Now Georgia, Alabama, and A&M sit there at basically 100%. There's no way that they're not going to make it if they win out. So it goes through, and it really proves how great this conference is looking right now. Now, I will say the Big Ten, with the shakeup of Indiana being good, makes the Big Ten a little bit more interesting. Now, what also makes the Big Ten interesting is the fact that Oregon, and I don't have their schedule. Let me see if this will pull. Yes, so Oregon will be going. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I've got this correct. Their remaining schedule is Iowa. So they've got Iowa, USC, and Washington. All 3 of those teams with an opportunity to win 10 games. Any one of those teams could knock Oregon out of the college football playoffs, keeping their hopes alive. But any one of those teams I just mentioned with Iowa, USC, or Washington, I just don't really know if they end up making the college football playoffs. I don't know. So very, very strange situation there. Anyways, the Big Ten is making a very fun case this season because of Indiana doing so well. As I mentioned a moment ago, they've got a 100% chance to win. Obviously, they're sitting there at 9-0, one of 4 teams, right? 4 teams, because you've got Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and BYU who are undefeated. Now, Indiana currently sitting at 95%, even with one more loss, sitting at 96% chance to make it to the college football playoffs. Pretty fun stuff to look at. Looking at all the percentages, seeing the possibilities of what could be a lot of fun. But I mean, with Oklahoma right now, you look at the college football playoffs. They're sitting there ranked number 12. I posted this out there yesterday when the rankings came out. Ultimately, I'll throw Texas in there as well for D-Max Bravo. I see him in the chat. What's up? Appreciate you. And I'll pop your comment on the screen as well real quick. What is up? I'm not going to throw the horns up for you, but I will say hello to you, and I appreciate you jumping in tonight. But I will throw Texas in there as well. Texas, Oklahoma sitting there at 11 and 12. Basically, they are the first 2 out when it comes to the college football playoff rankings. They would be the first 2 out, and that is because of the group of 5 team that would automatically get a bid in. And then you think of Notre Dame getting their spot in as well. I saw a lot of fuss, a lot of upset fans between Oklahoma and Texas, rightfully so, for Notre Dame being ranked ahead of them and then knocking really both of those teams out, being the first 2 out. I will say this. First of all, you still got 3 games left. I believe both these teams, correct? You still got three games left. You win out, you make it. Even with 1 loss, either of those 2 teams has a slight chance. Actually, going back to the analytics, either of those 2 teams, let's see, Oklahoma with 1 more loss, 35% chance. Texas, surprisingly so, but I will explain why it is this high. Texas with 1 more loss, 58% chance. Now, the reason being, so let's start off with, why is Notre Dame ranked ahead of both of these teams? Now, from the playoff committee's perspective, Notre Dame has 2 losses, same record as Oklahoma and Texas. Both of those losses coming in weeks 1 and 2 against a higher ranked Texas A&M, undefeated Texas A&M in week 1, Miami in week 1. It was a 3-point loss. So you had a 3-point loss there to a very high-ranked, still currently high-ranked, I believe number 18, Miami, right? I don't have the rankings, the correct rankings ahead of me. This is a last week rankings that's popping up ahead of me. But anyways, you've got a tough loss on the road at Miami, and then a 1-point loss to Texas A&M, who is currently undefeated. A&M, I believe, ranked number 3. Is that right? So you've got 2 losses, very close and very understandable losses for Notre Dame. Whereas for Texas, you have that inexplicable loss to Florida. That knocks you down below Notre Dame. And for Oklahoma, you have that inexplicable. First, we'll start off with 2. Oklahoma has 2 losses that really hurt them. You lost by, 17 points. So double-digit loss on neutral site to Texas in a game you really can't lose that much by. I mean, you can't lose by that much to Texas. So that hurts you. That looks like a worse loss. I know Texas is ranked high, and so you can say, hey, we have 2 ranked losses, but then you also have Ole Miss, a loss with a 1-loss Ole Miss team who came into Norman, so it's a home loss at that. And so you've got 2 tough losses there. Now, you could say that Oklahoma and Texas both have better wins than USC. USC has the only good win that they have. I will say good win with quotation marks around it. The only good win that Notre Dame has is USC. And we'll see how USC ends up finishing out the season. I know for sure they have Oregon left on their schedule. They just had a tough game against Nebraska. So USC is their best win. So for Notre Dame, no, they do not have as good of a win as Oklahoma or Texas. Either one of those teams have better wins. Texas has that win over Oklahoma. What's another good win for Texas right now? I'm just drawing a blank. It's not meant to roast Texas. I'm just drawing a blank on who else they've beat, because I know they've had other decent wins. Now for Oklahoma has the win against Michigan. You had Auburn, who was ranked at the time, so it counts as a asterisk ranked win. But then you just now went on the road, a currently ranked win against Tennessee in a hostile environment. And anybody who saw that game saw how Oklahoma performed and how they performed really in the second half. And I would say second 3 quarters of that game. From second quarter on, Oklahoma really pulled ahead and seemed like they were the better team. So, you look at that win for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma definitely has better wins than Notre Dame. So I don't agree with the playoff committee. I think Texas and Oklahoma should both be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. Now, why they aren't ranked ahead of Notre Dame, I can't tell you. But I do think that both teams should be ranked ahead. Now, again, the reason why is because Notre Dame has gone 6 straight games. They're 6-2, so 6 straight games of performing at a high level and doing what they need to do and handling business, and that's what they're focused on. You can say it's on brand. Brand does play into it, whether you want to agree about that or not, or whether you like it or not. It does play into it. So that's part of it. But a big part, the main part, is that they just say, hey, it's 2 losses against 2 good teams that they played really close in. It's not like they got beat by 17 in Oklahoma's situation, or that they got beat by an unranked failing Florida team the way that Texas did. That's how the committee's looking at it. Now, you can say they're getting rewarded for good losses. I don't like that term. And I don't think that's necessarily it. It's just that Oklahoma has a bad loss to Texas, and a loss that shouldn't have happened against Ole Miss in your home stadium. If you're a playoff team, you don't let that happen. So that's just the fact of the matter. I do think both teams ought to be ranked over Notre Dame, if I'm giving my 2 cents, but they're not. And here's where we have to step back and just say, it's okay. We still have 3 games left on the schedule. Either one of these teams wins out, they're in the playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind that either one of these teams, especially being ranked in the top 12, the playoff committee is saying that Oklahoma and Texas aren't quite in there right now. If we were just to end the season right now, they're not in there. But It's not over right now. So we believe that they have a chance. We believe that they should be in here. And I like the fact that so right now the playoff rankings do matter because you look at it and you say, really, the top 15 teams, top 14, top 15 teams, they all belong as long as they handle business. I think Notre Dame could win out. And let's see their percentage right now. So if they were to win out, okay, so they're showing 99% chance. Somehow they're saying a 65% chance for Notre Dame. If Notre Dame gets in at 9-3, we need to start a riot. So I'm not sure how that analytic part plays out where 65% chance to win with going at 9-3. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. If Notre Dame gets in there at 9-3, that everyone in college football should be in an uproar, including Notre Dame fans. I'm calling on Notre Dame fans to join our protests because that is ridiculous. But anyways, Oklahoma, Texas, you both have a chance at 9-3. If chaos around were to ensue, you do have a chance at 9-3. But when it comes down to it, if you win out, you're in. So don't pay attention to the rankings too much. What you should pay attention to is that they ranked you high enough to say we respect both of these teams. We think both of them are showing right now that they are worthy of being in that discussion. So that's really good. Now, there's also a debate for Oklahoma. We should be ranked ahead of Texas because we have better wins and they have a bad loss. The flaw with Oklahoma fans is that you got those crimson goggles on and you're not willing to take them off for a minute and say, Oklahoma, regardless of the situation, regardless of what was surrounding that game with the John Mateer injury and all this, Oklahoma lost by double digits to Texas. So I know that Texas has the worst loss, losing to Florida, but also their other loss. So let's compare Ohio State at Ohio State to Ole Miss at Norman for Oklahoma. The Oklahoma loss to Ole Miss compared to the Texas loss. I would say Texas's loss was a quote unquote better loss. So I mean, I don't think I have a problem with that. It's not a good loss. No loss is a good loss, but that's a better visual loss to lose on the road at Ohio State and hang in that game all four quarters than it was for Oklahoma losing in your home stadium where it felt like Ole Miss just didn't create the mental errors. They didn't make the mistakes that Oklahoma made in their own home stadium. So Texas beat Oklahoma by double digits. Now, I won't say that they dominated Oklahoma, but they won decisively. There wasn't really a moment in that game after halftime, I should say. There wasn't a moment in that game that you walk away feeling like Oklahoma did well in this game and we have something good to take away from it. So I think the rankings are pretty accurate outside of Notre Dame. I take issue with Notre Dame being ranked higher than Oklahoma, but I can see where the playoff committee is saying those two losses were week 1 and 2. And since week 3 or game 3, they've been on fire and doing everything that they need to do here on out. So I will say, I think there is a little bit to be said there. So no, I don't agree with it, but do I see where their point is? Yes, I do see that point. So we'll go with it. We will ride with it. I'm going to jump to the chat real quick reminder. Super chats will be read live on the show. So if you want to secure your chat being read, if you have questions, concerns, comments, super chat makes it very simple. Even if it's a 1 penny super chat, it's going to pop up that way, we can see it very easily. Especially whenever I'm running the boards tonight, it makes it a little bit easier for me to go through and see exactly what the chats are. So that, and then also click the link down in the description below if you want to call in. I'm going to keep my eye here on it and refresh real quick just to make sure that nobody's calling in. So you can call into the show. We will try that call in and make sure that everything's working. Hopefully the board works all right tonight. But we don't have a lot to talk about. So if you've got something to talk about, if you want to hop on, either click that link down below, or you can look at the link down in the description below. We got that call-in number as well. And again, that number is 405-353-4535. That's 405-353-4535. Call in today. I'm going to jump over to the chat again. Super chats will be read live on the show. Or if you're a member, become a member today and you can have your chats read every single time without making a separate super chat. Modern Day Caveman's in the chat. What's up? He says 10-2 finish absolutely guarantee us a CFP spot if the SEC has 5 teams eligible. If the SEC only has 4 teams in the playoffs, 10-2 gets Oklahoma in the playoffs. I think that's pretty evident with the rankings. And let me pull up the rankings so I can see them in front of myself real quick, just because I should have done that before the show, so I'm not sitting here trying to guess. And I was right earlier. A&M is ranked number 3. So, right now for the SEC, you've got A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and then so you've got Texas and OU. That's 6 teams right now that have a chance to win out, go on. In that scenario, Oklahoma has one more good win over Alabama. If we're saying they win 10 games, they beat Alabama on the road, that boosts Oklahoma over Notre Dame because Notre Dame doesn't have any style points left. All right, so that's another thing to kind of take into consideration. Notre Dame has Pitt, which I guess is a ranked win, but they have Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. I mean, we're not looking at juggernauts for Notre Dame. Now, for Oklahoma, that means you beat Alabama, so you jump up with some style points. Then you close it out against Missouri, which, hey, who knows? Maybe Missouri shocks. I believe A&M it is this weekend. So Missouri has, or no. Missouri could be still ranked. That could be another ranked win for Oklahoma. So they have, yeah, okay, so I was wrong. Yeah, so they have A&M. So who knows? Maybe they shock A&M. Maybe. I don't think that's the case. Even if they were just to stay close with A&M, they're probably out of the rankings with a 3rd loss. But if they could keep it close, let's say they lose by 3 points to A&M, who knows? The playoff committee might not drop them out. Whoop up on Mississippi State at home, which is very, very likely. It's maybe not likely, but it's a possibility. Oklahoma has a chance for another ranked win there. Anyways, for Oklahoma, 10-2, even with just 4 teams making it in, you pretty well get in there. Because in that scenario as well, you have Texas who has to face off against A&M and Georgia. Texas loses one of those, they're not making it in at 9-3, I don't think. Now there's a chance for I already said that Texas has a chance. I think there just has to be a little bit more chaos to get a 5th team in. And then Georgia, Georgia has to face Texas. Who else is on Georgia's schedule real quick? Georgia has Georgia Tech and Charlotte. Georgia Tech could upset Georgia. It's a decent team, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But anyways, you do have Texas and Georgia facing off. That's going to kind of eliminate some of that. Somebody's going to drop to 9-3. Well, I guess Georgia could be 10-2, I guess, in that scenario. So, yeah, you could have Texas win out to drop Georgia down to 10-2. A&M loses to Texas, and then they also lose one more in there, maybe. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't know. Maybe if they lose to Missouri, you're sitting there. I mean, you could have a lot of teams 10-2. I'm kind of getting myself distracted a lot looking at those rankings. But nonetheless, it is a fascinating end to the season. You win out if you're Oklahoma or Texas, and I'm throwing Texas in there for our Texas brethren over here chiming in the chat tonight. You make it. And Sooner Cowboys, what's up? He's in the chat. He says OU goes 10-2. They'll play for the SEC championship. I don't know about that. I'm not necessarily, because you still have Texas A&M and Alabama who are undefeated in conference play. Even if Oklahoma were to beat Alabama, as long as Alabama doesn't drop another one in there, they're sitting at 1 loss in the SEC. They go, even if A&M were to lose 1 game somewhere here down the stretch, I don't think Oklahoma's going to make it to the SEC championship game. I would love to see it, but I'm okay with it because of the way that the college football playoffs are extended now. So I don't know. That would be a lot of fun to see OU Texas show up in the championship game, the SEC championship game. It would be a lot of fun. Would be great to see. Let's see here. I'll jump over to D-Max Bravo real quick, our fellow Texas fan in the chat tonight. He says, Cowboys or Sooner Cowboys, what if Texas wins out? If Texas wins out, they're in the playoffs, no doubt. I just don't know about the SEC championship game. If Texas wins out right now, they could be. Texas has a better shot of making the SEC championship game than Oklahoma because Texas only has the one conference loss. So if Texas wins out, that pushes A&M down, so they would jump ahead of A&M. Depends on what Alabama does, but even a one-loss Alabama can still make it in if they were to lose to Oklahoma. So a lot of what ifs. If candies and nuts were I forget how that is now, how that saying goes. But anyways, there's a good chance for either one of these teams to make it to the college football playoffs. So playoff rankings, maybe not what we would like to see them as. Maybe we disagree, but that's okay because, like I mentioned, don't focus too much in on them. It's just really any team in the top 15 holds their own destiny. Any team in the top 15 has a chance. You win out, you go in. Let's see. So, well, Bama might get in if they win out. I just wanted to pull this one up because I was reading this. Well, Bama might get in if they win out after OU game. They would only have one SEC loss. Okay, kind of answering back to that. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at there. So, anyways, yeah, drop yourself in the chat there. Super chats will be read live on the show. And if you're a member, it also bumps your chat. On my screen, it bumps your chat all the way up to the top. It lights it up in a bright color so that way I can see as well. So become a member today. If you just want to always have your chats read every single time on the show, that's all you got to do. Members and super chats will be read 100% of the time. Going down, so R. Mason Thomas, he was injured in that Texas game. That's something I kind of wanted to bring up tonight. He scored that 71-yard fumble return touchdown against Tennessee and then ended up going out. I think he came in the next drive, but then ended up going out, ended up having that I believe it was a quad injury and kind of day to day. So according to Brent Venables, he said that it was a quad pull, and then he even said that they'll just continue to watch him, evaluate him. They got a bye week, which is a good sign. This is a really good time, a really convenient time for Oklahoma to have a bye week because you got the offensive line who you could really use to rest up, and then you also have, just looking at all the other small injuries that you've got with Kobe McKenzie, and you look at R. Mason Thomas. This is a really good week for Oklahoma to have a bye. Not only that, but you came off of an emotional win. Let the guys celebrate. They basically get a lot of this week to celebrate and then just move on and focus 2 weeks on Alabama prep. So you can kind of have a small celebration. Don't hang on to it. Don't linger onto that big win. I think Oklahoma really struggles at doing that at times. So, I think right now, Oklahoma under Brent Venables, I believe only has one loss after bye weeks. I'm trying to think. I think that was back in 2023 after the Texas loss or after the Texas win. They had a bye week and then they ended up losing. Was that to Kansas? I think that was Kansas. So, it's a very convenient time, so it definitely helps. And then so you got guys like R. Mason Thomas, Kobe McKenzie being able to kind of rest up a little bit, get themselves right, leading into that Alabama game. Big bye week for us here coming up. Got to give Tate Sandell a little bit more of a shout out because we didn't really, I don't know if we touched on this on Tuesday or not, but it was out. It's not really new news, but he did earn SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. He should have won SEC Player of the Week just as a whole, a National Player of the Week, or at least National Special Teams Player of the Week if he didn't, because so now this is his second time winning that award. So he went 4 for 4 for those of you who have just been hiding under a rock, 4 for 4 with those short shorts on. And I also don't know why that's such a big deal. It's a kicker. Kickers don't typically get hit, and if they do, they don't. I don't know. It's just what are knee pads going to do other than restrict his movement? So pulling those down and who cares? Anyways, 4 for 4, big time. 2 55-yarders, another 50+ yarder, a 40+ yarder. So just a really great performance from Tate Sandell, earning that SEC Teams Player of the Week, SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. And then, of course, Something else that we mentioned already: the longest field goal, two longest field goals in Neyland Stadium's 105-year history. I had to look that up, so I was like, all right, so longest field goal in Neyland history. How long has it been around? 105 years. So Tate Sandell also received the Lou Graza Award recognition as one of the 3 stars of the week. And then another quick shout out to, you got Isaiah Satania, wide receiver Isaiah Satania, the guy that really, I think this offseason in the transfer portal got talked about probably the least from what I can remember. I don't know. There might be, I think Keontez Lewis was one of those guys that didn't get talked about a whole lot. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't remember Isaiah Satania really being talked about too much. He wasn't one of these guys that you expected to come in and have as big of an impact as he has. And he's really been the reliable receiver. Deion Burks dropping some passes there in that Tennessee game. He's had some miscues and stuff like that throughout the year. Some times where maybe didn't make a play where he could have. But anyways, Isaiah Satania, he was added to the Biletnikoff Award watch list this week after leading the Sooners and receiving for I believe the 6th time in 7 games. So he has been the leading receiver for Oklahoma, the guy to go to. And it seems like the guy that John Mateer just trusts the most. Go to him when you need to. Even Michael Hawkins, I'm about to get hit and I'm getting drugged backwards, so I'm just going to launch it to the end zone in that Kent State game. So definitely huge. So yeah, love seeing that from Satania. He's added to that Biletnikoff. Would not have been a preseason Biletnikoff Award watch list or anything. Wouldn't have been even by Oklahoma fans. I knew he was going to be able to be that side piece to really help Oklahoma when you need him. But he's been able to line up outside, really far outside against Auburn even. And Auburn fans don't like that, but he was able to do that. He's been able to line up inside. He's been able to come across on some sweeps here and there, I believe, throughout the season. Not very much. But anyways, huge shout out to Isaiah Satania as well. And then also defensive end Owen Heineke named the SEC Defensive Player of the Week for his 13 tackle, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble performance against the Volunteers. Really good performance from him, and deservingly so because of what he was able to do there. So just really good week for the Oklahoma Sooners. I will say, so the Lombardi Trophy don't have any defensive linemen from Oklahoma, and I was looking at that, and I think a part of that, and I've even kind of been in a little bit of a discussion, a lot of people in my mentions, because it was kind of a joking post that I put out there on X, just saying that, there's a whole discussion about who the best edge rusher is, and I just said, we all know who it really is, R. Mason Thomas. I understand, and I know it was a joke because he's not really the best statistically. Statistically, he's not. And really, any of the offensive linemen, sorry, not the offensive linemen, but any of the defensive line for Oklahoma truly aren't really statistically standing out. And I thought to myself, like, why? Because I'm watching these guys and they're all dudes. If you watch one individual guy in any singular game this season, you can see them just making huge plays. And you can also see them making almost huge plays and then being drugged down from the backside. But we won't talk about that, even though we just did. But anyways, you've got defensive linemen across the board. The reason is that you got R. Mason Thomas, who was out for and basically an entire game for the half against Temple, and then the first half against Michigan, and then you had him out for basically 3 quarters against Tennessee, so he didn't play for a whole almost 2 games. But then you also have all the depth that Oklahoma has. They've got 3 guys deep on any position on that defensive line that you feel confident going with. It was like when R. Mason Thomas was out, and it was kind of like announced, I heard people around the stadium like, oh man, R. Mason Thomas is going to be out. Maybe that's our opportunity to not have so much pressure. Maybe we can pick guys up and not have missed assignments, all this. But I just kind of smirked like, you guys don't know what Oklahoma has at that edge position, do you? They've got linebackers that can step out to Cheetah. They've got linebackers like Kendall Dolby. He's a linebacker. I don't care what you want to tell me. He played as a linebacker at Oklahoma State. I know he plays kind of that similar Cheetah role. I forget what they called it in their system. But he's able to line up as a cheetah, which is, and this past week, lining up more as a safety. We got linebacker dudes that can hang one-on-one with tough wide receivers. So, that's something that I look at, and I understand why you don't have more defensive players for Oklahoma showing up on award watch lists. But I think a big part of that is just because Oklahoma has the depth on defense that you don't see on any other team across the nation. When you have that kind of depth and you're able to rotate guys out as often as Oklahoma does on defense, you're not going to get those recognition awards. So it sucks. I think it should be different, but it is going to be that way when when it is this way. So, Oklahoma should be proud of their squad, should be proud in the fact that, they got some guys, they got some dudes. Very proud of all of them, too. So, anyways, going on. Some of the offensive linemen. I just wanted to kind of go through here. So, you got true freshmen and the tackles, Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje. Then you've also got the redshirt freshman and Eddie Pierre-Louis, EPL, getting some big-time recognition this past week because he was in there, and these three guys played all 66 snaps in the Tennessee victory. So, that young trio, that's something to take notice of because that was the best offensive line that Oklahoma had all season, really. And I think they offered up, they let up 3 or 4 sacks. Now, so the sack totals for Oklahoma really shouldn't be alarming. Oklahoma is letting up quite a few sacks this season, and I don't have that total in front of me. But what I want to offer up as kind of an alternative to that is that Oklahoma is also, I believe, in the top 5 for how long it takes for those sacks, over 4 seconds. So, I mean, Oklahoma is doing their part in any blocking scheme, at least the pass blocking scheme. So they haven't been the best. They have let up quite a few sacks this season, but they're not letting those sacks up quickly. It's not like guys are just exploding into the backfield and getting to John Mateer. It's been John Mateer has some time, but just can't find a guy, good coverage downfield, can't find a guy, can't find a window to squeeze through. Maybe at times he set himself up for sacks. We've seen that a few times where he tries rolling out of the pocket when he should step up into it. And then there's been other times where he's got open grass ahead of him and just doesn't see it. So I'm not alarmed with Oklahoma's sack total. I know that it's pretty high, but I'm not too alarmed with that because they're holding that pocket long enough. When there are sacks, it's not really entirely on that offensive line. I'm not seeing that a whole lot. There have been a couple of times where guys get back there pretty fast, and I understand that there are singular plays that you can pull out, but as a whole, this offensive line is looking pretty good, and especially with 3 very young guys. We saw the kind of the little play that keeps on, that clip that keeps on going over and over again, where you got EPL stepping up into, I believe it was Ryan Foje or Michael Fasusi, one of those young guys, and he comes up and smashes his helmet into theirs and runs off the field, all kind of goofy looking. That's the kind of energy that you're starting to see from these young guys. Now you got a couple of classes stacked up with dudes coming in on that offensive line. I think Oklahoma fans should be excited about this offensive line. I think this is the best this offensive line has looked in the last couple of years, especially when you step back to last season and see how it was. It's starting to look better, and it's starting to take shape, take form. So it's really been big, and they really stepped it up big and started performing so much better on run blocking, which is something that I've mentioned several times. So I love to see that it's been really, really helping out, having these young guys step up and being able to do something big. I know Biedenbow, he was in an interview. He just kind of talked about how he didn't see any. He hasn't had anybody like these 3 guys in that age. Just overall being able to step up as freshmen, and true freshmen, and even redshirt freshmen at EPL, and it truly is a special group of guys up there on the offensive line. So for Oklahoma fans, I think we have something special there. I think we have something to look forward to with that offensive line, and very excited for it. I think it's a good sign knowing that your offensive line is performing pretty well there. and doing their thing. I think you got young guys stepping up and stealing that starting position coming down the stretch. I don't know why you would switch it up, because I know Ryan Foje, I felt like, had some plays where they attacked him. I think Ole Miss attacked him on his first career start, but he played really well overall. When you really take a look at what he was able to do in that game, he played pretty well overall. Sadly enough, the one that should not be an issue is, I think, the weakest point on Oklahoma's offensive line is Jake Mikula, the center, who's been stepping in at center this season. I had a lot more faith in him coming into the season. I thought even leading up to the season, we heard a lot of rumblings that he might steal that starting position from Troy Everett. It turns out he didn't, and we kind of see why. So, just that's been the most disappointing part of the offensive line. But overall, this offensive line has stepped up a lot this season and really started to make some changes. But anyways, for everybody in the chat, super chats, we still got a little bit time left open for super chats. But drop real quick in the comments down below, not just the live chat, but in the comments below, especially for those of you who are regular listeners. Let us know if you like the new look. And then also, if you see, we've got the Sooner Spotlight on there. That's a brand of mine that some of you may know that I had a separate channel before Oklahoma at the Voice of College Football. The Voice of College Football Network reached out to me because of my work with Sooner Spotlight. And so we kind of we're using that brand here on this channel to kind of bring that brand over. I'm not going to be able to bring over everything, all the hard work that I had put into building that brand from over there, but we're bringing that brand over because of the hard work. And so I'm going to carry that brand along with me over here at the Voice of College Football Network and keep on working with it, which means that we'll have all of our basketball, baseball coverage, all that fun stuff here on the channel. So very excited to be able to get that going. But anyways, it's going to be a fun one. I think looking at this bye week came at a perfect time. It really builds Oklahoma up. You got some movement here where things could happen this week. Hey, maybe we can cheer on Pitt to knock Notre Dame out of the college football playoff talks. But if Oklahoma can find a way to win on the road in Tuscaloosa and then win out, I mean, you should win those last two games, especially if you win two tough road games. If Oklahoma can find a way, we're starting to find a little bit of confidence. There's not a lot. I still don't think Oklahoma wins in Tuscaloosa, but as we get closer to game time, I'm really feeling like, hey, they got a chance. They do have a chance. They have a shot, and Alabama knows that now too. And the more that I've been breaking down Alabama, it just widens up that chance just a little bit more. But very excited going out throughout the rest of November. It is Championship November. That's what we always used to know it as here. Shout out to Ronnie Crimson. We now know it as Red November. So very excited for what lies ahead for the Sooners. We'll be back here again. We won't have a post game, obviously. We probably won't have anything on Sunday. I'll keep you guys posted if we have anything on Sunday for our Sooner Sunday episode. We might as well put something together, right? We'll try. We'll see what we've got there. But then, of course, jump in live next Monday for Sooner Smiths, live on Tuesday for our Tuesday show here, and then also Thursdays as well for a breakdown, deep dive preview for that Alabama game. It's going to be exciting. Very, very much looking forward to. We're probably going to have a lot more content here because I know we are a part of the Oklahoma channel here is part of the Voice of College Football Network, but we're also going to be talking about basketball. You guys know Sooner Smiths. You know that Chad and Tierney. You know that they love talking about all the women's sports, gymnastics, and all of that as well. So we're going to have a ton of coverage here coming up on the channel. Very excited again, get into it. Again, thank everybody so much for all the love, all the support, for jumping in tonight, for joining us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Become a member today. Help us out. Help us keep on growing. Help us grow this membership platform. Help us grow our platform here and our community here at Oklahoma at the Voice of College Football. Become a member today for as low as $2.99. Yeah, anyways, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Boomer.